It's the week after the NFL draft, and usually by this time, other Giants fans are in the deepest depths of their own sorrows, looking at the draft class and saying, what on earth are we going to do with this? But this one's different. What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. And man, I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe. My draft hat is gone. It's downstairs somewhere. I was wearing it out and I never put it back, but I just been feeling good, man. I just been feeling on it. I'm like making content, watching film, writing down a bunch of notes. Like I got my notebook just full of notes. Just doing a lot of research, and I'm feeling good about it, man. Red Bull after Red Bull, but I'm feeling good about it. And hell, just know us content creators, we ain't getting no sleep, man. We're excited, but it's worth it. Is it safe to say that this is the best New York Giants draft in, like, forever? Like, when was the last time we were this excited about a draft class? Like, none of Dave Gettleman's drafts got me this excited. Joe Schoen, this is the first one where I'm really excited about it, even though the draft class prior actually was very productive. You guys know I wasn't that thrilled with the draft class, and we know Jerry Reese has drafted some dogs in early rounds, but he couldn't draft mid to late round prospects for his life. So if we're looking at it, this is the best draft class the Giants have probably had since I've been like focusing on the Giants, since I've like actually paid attention to the draft. This is like the best draft class since. Now, on paper, I do have to preface that on paper, but I can firmly say the New York Giants won the 2025 NFL draft. They won this draft. You may see other drafts that are on par with it, but if you talk about the winners of the NFL draft, you would be stupid not to mention the New York Giants.
All hail the New York Giants!
Sitting back and watching this draft was absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. I loved it. And we're going to get into every single pick right now. But before we start, as always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, if you enjoy the content throughout this draft process as well, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more Giants content just like this. We're trying to get, let's see if we can get to around 10, at least close to 10K subs before the season start in September. Let's see if we can get there. I appreciate every single one of you guys for the support, and yeah, let's keep going, baby. All right, I'm gonna do my best to see if I can put highlights in here for you guys that you guys can watch as well instead of looking at this pretty face that I have on the screen here, but I'm gonna try to. Let's see if YouTube hits me with some copyright. College football is like terrible with that. So first round, third overall, the New York Giants select Penn State edge rusher Abdul Carter, about 6'4", 250 pounds. I mean, if you watch this guy off the snap, he's explosive, he's quick, he's twitchy. I mean, he's everything you want in a pass rusher. Extremely quick off the snap, violent against the run. I mean, when it comes to block shedding, it comes to one-on-one, battles, it's a wrap for Abdul Carter. He's gonna beat you with pure athleticism. He's just gonna say, I'm faster than you, I'm more flexible than you, I'm better off the snap than you. Doesn't matter. He's getting around the corner and getting to the quarterback. He had 13 sacks in this past season, 12.5, but PFF counts it as 13. 13 sacks. In his first year as an edge rusher, he was formerly an off-ball linebacker, similar enough to Micah Parsons. We see the comparisons all the time. The pro comp is Micah Parsons. They both went to Penn State. They both wear that number 11 that is very coveted at Penn State. So, I mean, he has a lot going for himself in college to show you that he is a dog. Paired along with those 13 sacks came 66 pressures in total, and that is the most out of every edge rusher in the draft class, paired along with a 22.6 pass rush win rate, and that is very high up there in the draft class as well. I think that's like second or third, but check this out. The one-on-one, what's called true pass rush win rate, where it's one-on-one against like a tackle or whoever it is, and it's like, I think it's excluding screens and things like that, like plays that don't really matter, where it's just like true pass set win rate snaps, and that is 35.3%. win rate, which is absolutely insane. Again, one of the top win rates in the entire draft class, and this is his first year as an edge rusher. First year as an edge rusher, and it's not like he was bad at being an off-ball linebacker. He just showed a lot more traits as being a better edge rusher than an off-ball linebacker. He's won second team, first team, all Big Ten in as an off-ball linebacker when he was there the prior 2 years. He is great as an off-ball linebacker and a phenomenal blitzer there. They even put him back there to still blitz from the off-ball spot through the A-gap even last year as an edge rusher. And keep in mind, he was a 4-star recruit coming out of Pennsylvania as well. So, I mean, he's been great since the beginning. Now, in regards to some off-the-field stuff, he's dealt with some injuries. He battled through a shoulder injury during the season, last season, and he also had a foot injury, which he suffered, I believe, during the offseason, getting ready for the NFL draft. It doesn't seem like there's going to be much of a problem. If I'm not mistaken, I think Joe Schoen did say that it's not much of a problem, that they're not too concerned about it, so I'm not too concerned about it either. He did have an altercation in which he assaulted a tow truck driver this past season. I hope that that's not gonna transfer into the NFL, but as Bengal says, who hasn't assaulted a tow truck driver in their early 20s? I mean, dude, I was parked there for 5 minutes. Are you gonna take my car? Come on, man. Now, Abdul Carter is such a unique prospect because usually when you see these top edge rushers coming out, you know, like Aiden Hutchinson, Will Anderson, these guys have been working at edge rusher for a long time. They're very familiar with the position. They know their pass rush moves. They're pretty well off. Abdul Carter hasn't even reached his ceiling yet. He's not even close. Again, his first year at edge rusher, in which in his collegiate season as an edge rusher, he was just beating people with pure athleticism. Yeah, was he able to use some pass rush moves here and there? Sure. There were plenty of times where Abdul Carter had no idea what he was doing. There had no pass rush plan at all, and just won with pure athleticism, trying to get around the guy, and just didn't look like he knew what he was doing. When he gets into an NFL locker room, when he gets into NFL coaching, and he receives some tips and coaching lessons from these NFL defensive lineman coaching and coaches and outside linebacker coaches, and he learns pass rush moves, he's going to unlock a whole new part of his game that I'm extremely excited for. And I know a lot of people like to say, well, why did the Giants draft Abdul Carter when they have Kayvon Thibodeau? Here's the thing, we don't know what the future is with Kayvon Thibodeau after that 5th-year option. On top of that, even with Kayvon Thibodeau there, you can still get a really healthy rotation there with Abdul Carter. And unfortunately, that means we have to sacrifice some snaps for my glorious king, Micah McFadden. But listen, it's all about compromise. It's all about compromise. When you're in a relationship, it's all about compromise. So I'm giving this grade an A+. I don't really usually give out A+ like that all willy-nilly, but there was literally no other prospect that you could have gotten there. That is the prospect you better have taken there, was Abdul Carter. A+ for me. All right, let's talk about it. 25th overall in the first round, the New York Giants selected Jaxson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss. You guys know my reaction to that pick.
The New York Giants select Jaxson.
And if you've been watching my videos since then, you guys know I've since calmed down from that, really started to embrace it, and really just try to see the bright side in that. I'm going to make a whole separate video on Jaxson Dart. That's probably going to be a long one. I'm really excited to show that to you guys as I'm working on it. So I'm not going to share too much about exactly what I think about Jaxson Dart just in preparation of that video, but I got to give you guys as much information I can in this one because we're going over the draft class. He was a 4-star recruit out of Utah. That's right. The man is most likely a Mormon. So we got another Zach Wilson on our hands. Let's hope he's not taking anybody's mothers out there either. But yeah, Jaxson Dart, he went to USC. He first started out with USC. I believe he redshirted there, if I'm not mistaken. But once the next year came around, they got Caleb Williams. He was a transfer from, I believe, Oklahoma, and then he transferred out of there because Caleb Williams was set to be the starter. He transfers to Ole Miss, and the rest was history. He wound up winning all first team All SEC in 2024, and he is pretty well beloved over there at Ole Miss. A lot of the fan base love him. I want to read off a bunch of his stats, man, because it really jumps off the page at you. And I know we'll talk about the Lane Kiffin offense in a second, but just over 4,200 yards, almost 4,300, 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 69.3 completion percentage. And check this out, we're going to get into the more advanced statistics right now. For those of you guys that don't really follow these advanced statistics, I'll just kind of break them down for you. 32 big time throws. If you guys don't know what big time throws are, I'll just share with you guys the definition by PFF, because I believe they created the stat. But these are a big time throw is a high difficulty, high value pass. They are characterized by excellent ball placement and timing. Typically on deeper passes, it's a tight windows. So it's like throws graded. They have their PFF scale as throws graded higher than a certain scale that they have, and I use that as a metric when looking at quarterbacks. You see, I believe Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders both had 28 big time throws. Jaxson Dart had 32, which is good company to be around, especially leading that category between the three. He had an 11.9 average depth of target, and of course that is definitely because of that Lane Kiffin scheme where it's kind of just go deep, check down, or just run it. A lot of the times Jaxson Dart would just elect to run it himself. Really trusted his own talents, his own ability to move the ball, and we'll get into that in just a second as we finish off these stats. A 2.77 second time to throw, which is very low compared to a Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, guys that are necessarily talked about as scrambling quarterbacks, guys that hold the ball a little too long, try to make a play down the field. Jaxson Dart gets the ball out extremely quick and also knows when to just tuck it and run. Now, this is a little bit of a skewed stat. You got to pay attention to this one. 11.4 self-induced pressure rate. Now, in the grand scheme, if you're just looking at the numbers, this is a very, very low self-induced pressure rate. All right, you see it a lot higher than a lot of, with a lot of these quarterbacks coming out. It's a lot higher. Even the higher tier quarterbacks, I believe Cam Ward has like 19% in self-induced pressure rate. That comes with holding the ball too long, making mistakes by not checking it down, and this, that, and the third. And guys like Shedeur Sanders has a 26.8 self-induced pressure rate. And why is Jaxson Dart all the way at 11%? Well, like I said, that Lane Kiffin offense is very quick. You have to have a certain sense of urgency where you're throwing the ball quickly, you're checking it down, or you're just ripping it deep. A lot of one read plays. So a lot of that time he doesn't have the ball for that long. So it's not there's not really much room to have self-induced pressure when you're getting rid of the ball so quickly. And a part of that I will credit to him as well. He's got a very quick release as we talk about his pros and cons and stuff like that. But just sticking to the stats, there is a lot of quick game and throwing the ball deep and one read offense that Lane Kiffin has that kind of helps with that stat a lot, along with a 52, let me make sure I'm reading that right, 52.7% play action rate. Over 50% of their plays were play action. That is absolutely nuts. You got to imagine, I don't know how much they ran the ball, but 52% of their passing plays were play action. That's nuts. So looking at Jaxson Dart, man, listen, a lot of people compare him to Josh Allen. I don't think they're the same as players at all, but the only way I'll compare them to is the mentality. You watch Jaxson Dart when he tucks it and runs, it's very much like a smaller version of Josh Allen. Very relentless, throws his body on the line. I'm not saying that's necessarily a good thing, but the guy just wants to win. The guy just wants to push the ball forward, and he will risk his body to do so. You can see him, his energy on the sideline, his energy on the field. His teammates gravitate towards him. That's something that you want in a quarterback, and he's just a dog, man. You can tell he's got an alpha mentality out there on the field, and you want that in your quarterback. Now, a little bit on his skill set. I've got a lot of issues with Jaxson Dart, but I'll quickly talk about a lot of the positives I do see from Jaxson Dart. I don't hate him at all. I think he's got a decent arm. We'll talk about how I think he holds himself back with his arm talent in a second when we talk about negatives, but I think he has a decent arm. It can be a really good arm. Don't think it's going to be an elite one, but he can make all the throws. He can fit the ball into tight windows. He trusts himself a lot. That's something I've seen from this draft class in particular. There's a lot of gutsy throwers in here, and he is no short of one. He is an extremely gutsy thrower. He trusts in his ability. He fits the ball in the tight windows. He throws the ball right over defenders' heads, and he trusts his receivers as well. Like, he will throw the ball. He will not be afraid to air it out. That is the complete opposite of what we got from Daniel Jones, and it is refreshing. He's done so well in the past of back shoulder throws. I'm really impressed with his ability of timing, of getting the ball out, his precision and accuracy on back shoulder throws. It's a really good metric to see how a quarterback is developing by watching him throwing back shoulder throws, if that's part of their offense, because that is one of the hardest throws to make at any level. It's one of the hardest throws to have, because you got to have chemistry along with all the other physical talent you have in throwing a football. Now, paired along with his decent arm strength is the quick release. Extremely quick release. That's why he really excels in what the Giants want to do. Brian Daboll just seems like Jaxson Dart is his quarterback. A lot of people thought about that coming out the draft, and I think that as well. That is Brian Daboll's quarterback. That's his pick there, because he could work that RPO game perfectly because of his quick release. I think he gets the ball out extremely quickly. He doesn't wait to set his feet, and he still gets it out with decent velocity and decent precision. Not phenomenal, but it gets the job done. Now, a little bit on his negatives. I hate his throwing motion. I hate it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It bothers me every time I watch him throw. It's not necessarily his arm. I think the arm is fine. If anything, I think he is stressing his arm to hell. I mean, he is wearing and tearing his arm. He has a great arm, NFL arm talent. I think he's very talented as far as his arm goes, but the lower half needs work. The footwork, he hitches way too much. Feet could be a little bit too jittery, and that is not necessarily a problem, except when you're faced under pressure, or even if you're just making a routine throw. The balance, you got to have good balance. He throws the ball like a baseball player half the time, where he leans into the throws. It looks like he's putting too much on it, where he's making his arm do a lot of the heavy lifting. If you guys know anything about throwing mechanics, your hip, your kind of whipping motion with your shoulders and your hip does all the work. It's not necessarily your arm. He lets his arm do all the work, and it's gotten him this far, but the Giants definitely need to work on that. He also has this little kick flip thing where he lifts his foot up in the air. It bothers the hell out of me. You shouldn't do that as throwing the ball. You should never do that. You're throwing off balance half the time. You're leaning into your throws. You're not throwing straight up, and that can lead to a lot of ball placement issues, which you do see on tape. Like I said, that really bothers me, but I have no doubt that they're going to clean, though. That is extremely coachable. Nobody has coached that in him. I don't know why, but it bothers the hell out of me. Another problem I have with Jaxson Dart is he's not much of a scrambler. Once he doesn't see it open, he doesn't really take the time to wait for plays to develop or see if somebody's going to get open off script or out of structure. He just kind of tucks it and runs, which a lot of the times it does work out. I want to see him be able to stick around, and yeah, you're going to add a little bit to your time to throw, maybe your self-induced pressure, but stick around, see if something gets open, and launch it downfield. And another negative I have, it's not necessarily his fault, but he's in an offense that doesn't really challenge him as a processor, where that Lane Kiffin offense is so gimmicky, so college dependent of a lot of these college defenses, where it's kind of just, go deep, you're checking it down, or you're running the RPO, or you're reading that slant, or you're reading the edge defender, and you're not really processing the field. Not often. There are some times where he is forced to process on certain plays, but it's not very often. Again, 52% of his plays were play action. you got to imagine that a lot of those were because of RPO. I talked a lot about Jaxson Dart. I don't know if I'm going to cut that out because I don't want to put too much in this video about him because I'm going to make a video about him soon. But I'm going to give it a B, a solid B. I like that the Giants traded up for him, even though I didn't necessarily like him as a prospect. I always said if the Giants are going to trade up for a quarterback, whether I like them or not, and they believe that he's the franchise guy, you better go get the 5th-year option on him. And getting that and not having to get him at 3, getting Abdul Carter, getting Jaxson Dart, future franchise quarterback, and only having to give up a 3rd-round pick this year, which was one of the last picks in the 3rd round, 99th overall, and a 3rd-round pick next year, I'm taking it, especially if it works out. It'll be great. I'm going to give it a B because we don't know too much about Jaxson Dart, how he's going to work in the NFL, and he wasn't my best quarterback available. I'm giving it a solid B. Next up, we got one of my personal favorites of this draft class, baby. Darius Alexander with the 65th pick in the 3rd round. My goodness, I can't believe we struck gold here. 6'4", 310 pounds, 3-star recruit in 2019 and spent his entire collegiate career at Toledo. He's a little bit of an older prospect. I believe he's 24 years old right now. Again, he came out and of high school in 2019, so he had a little bit of an experience on him, long collegiate career, but 24 years old, I'm okay with it. He's always been a guy that's been relatively healthy. I haven't seen any injury reports on him at all. As far as I know, he redshirted in 2019, and from 2020 all the way up until, 2024, he played in every single game. He had very limited amount of starts. He came in on rotations a lot of the times, so he didn't get too much of a huge sample size, but I believe he had 15 starts in 3 seasons. Besides 2024, he had 15 starts in 3 seasons. But in 2024, he absolutely went off, had 11 starts in 14 games, and I believe had 3.5 sacks, 40 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and a 90.3 run grade, which is phenomenal, and one second team all MAC. Second team all MAC. Second team, who was first team? There's no way in that conference that there's 3 interior defenders better than Toledo defensive tackle Darius Alexander. Got a strong yet sleek frame that combines explosiveness and power all into one, where he's skinny enough to get through the line and shoot a gap on the run, and he's strong enough to just bull rush somebody, block shed him, throw him out the way, and get to the running back that way. He's got different ways to get through the offensive line. He's not a one-trick pony by any means. Really got a good understanding of leverage and hand usage. He's got a violent pop on his hands, like as soon as the ball is snapped, and he pops those offensive linemen. They feel it. You can tell that they feel it, and he's able to block shed, get his hands on the inside, throw him off of them, and get to the running back or chase the quarterback around. Like, he's got a really good understanding of leverage and drives his legs extremely well. Like, there's so much to like about Darius Alexander. I think he fits this defense perfectly. You guys know, ever since I did my first mock draft this season, he's been one of my favorites I've watched, and I fell in love with him ever since. Extremely excited to have him on the team. He's a perfect complement to Dexter Lawrence. You guys don't even understand the power these two have, where they both have pass rushing ability. Dexter Lawrence obviously developed so much as a pass rusher in his NFL career, but Darius Alexander could move on that same path, where he's light enough, he's sleek enough, he's got that speed, power, explosiveness to also do that, and he also is very good at stopping the run. Like, those two in tandem are gonna be a powerhouse on the interior. I'm giving this grade another A+. Again, I don't give out A+. That's how good this draft class is. I don't give out A+ that often. But when it came to Abdul Carter and it came to Darius Alexander, first of all, both these guys are going to be on the same defensive line. Insane, paired along with everybody else that we have. And they were the picks that I wouldn't have wanted anyone else at those selections. 65 and 3, those were the guys I wanted, and those were the best players available, and they fit the defense perfectly to a T. So A+ for me. Oh, next up, we've got the blue collar worker himself, Cam Skattebo, the tree trunk, the Mighty Mouse, if you will. 5'10", 220 pounds. He packs a huge punch for a little running back like that. And listen, short kings all day. We got to talk about Cam Skattebo, the running back out of Arizona State. He was a 0-star recruit. Talk about blue-collar worker. That's why I call him the blue-collar running back of this class. He's a hard worker. He's a, hard hat, bring your lunch pail sort of guy, but it's true. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but it's extremely true. This guy will do everything he has to do to win, to get better, to all of that. He was a 0-star recruit out of California. He went to Sacramento State. He didn't even do much over there in the beginning because of COVID. They had to cancel the season when he got there. But then when he did start playing at Sacramento State, I believe he played 2 seasons there. He won a bunch of accolades over there, a bunch of awards. He was just way better, for that competition. He transfers over to Arizona State University as a 3-star transfer. And his 2024 season, my gosh, is off the charts. If you look at his numbers, you would say, how on earth was this guy a 4th-round pick? Especially if you compare his numbers to everybody else in the draft class, especially to Ashton Jeanty. Now, Ashton Jeanty was on a whole nother level, but Cam Skattebo, as far as numbers go, wasn't even that far off. In fact, those 2 running backs were in leagues of their own amongst the rest of the draft class. We're talking about 1,712 rushing yards, 543 receiving yards, 25 total touchdowns, 5.8 yards per carry, and check this out, 102 missed tackles just in 2024. To put that into retrospect, Ashton Jeanty had 151 missed tackles in his collegiate season. That is the highest among the draft class, with Cam Skattebo at 102 missed tackles in 2024. No running back comes close to 100 in this draft class, and both of these guys exceeded 100. I believe the closest is around somewhere in the 80s or high 70s, but nobody even comes close to 100 missed tackles. That's how good Cam Skattebo was, along with Ashton Jeanty, in this draft class. If you guys aren't familiar with Cam Skattebo, because he did play at Arizona State, what's the likelihood you're watching an Arizona State game? Just watch his final 2 games as a collegiate player. The first, you got to watch the Big 12 championship against Iowa State, in which he had over 200 total yards, 3 total touchdowns on just 18 touches. He touched the ball 18 times and got over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then we got to talk about that college playoff game against Texas. Yes, Texas beat them. They whooped them, if I'm not mistaken. But Cam Skattebo did everything, literally everything you could possibly imagine to try to win that game. Let me just read off some numbers to you guys. 143 rushing yards, 99 receiving yards, and he threw a 42-yard touchdown. He threw a 42-yard pass for a touchdown, and that was enough. That was enough. I believe he had 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. So 3 total touchdowns again. That was enough to win him MVP of the college football playoff game against Texas. He won MVP and they lost. That was the first time in college football playoff history in 26 years. That a player has won MVP on a losing team. That means something. Forget about all the other pros and cons, how he runs his footwork, and that means something. He's got insane contact balance. Daniel Jeremiah said that he reminds him of a Plinko board. I hope I'm saying that right, but it's those things in those game shows that he just keeps going down, bounces around. He's like a pinball machine. He's nearly impossible to bring down on first contact. Nearly impossible. It's hard to bring this guy down. Now, as far as how he fits the Giants, I don't necessarily think he was the best player available for what the Giants wanted and what they wanted to accomplish. They definitely wanted a running back that's going to get them tough yardage. Cam Skattebo can do that, but I can see Cam Skattebo being more of a guy that's going to break something outside of the tackles. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make in between the tackles, stuff that they don't want Devin Singletary or Tyrone Tracy to do. They're going to want a bigger, more physically imposing running back to do so. I really thought it was going to be a guy like Damian Martinez, but he wound up dropping a lot farther than I would have expected him to, so don't know what happened there. Don't know if Cam Skattebo can be that, but man, he can stay on his feet. He is an absolute dog. If you are not strong enough to bring him down, he will punish you for it. I promise you that.
That's how a white man runs a football.
He's got decent footwork. His vision is good. His sense of urgency is a little lacking, though. I feel like he's not as patient as you would like him to be. He's a little bit more of like, he just sees red and he's just trying to get to the end zone. So that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I thought his footwork is fine to me as well. A lot of good jump cuts, a lot of change of direction. Has a low center of gravity, obviously, being a smaller running back. He catches the ball pretty well. Extremely underrated pass catcher. A lot of people think he's just a power back, and he can do so much more than that. He's got fairly good pass and run blocking ability. Just seems a little too aggressive, where he'll completely whiff and completely not look as coordinated, where he can improve on that. There's room to grow in that area. But Cam Skattebo, man, I'm happy to see that thunder and lightning with him and Tyrone Tracy and whatever we get from Devin Singletary. But man, I'm excited for that three-headed monster. Next up, the Purdue offensive lineman, Marcus Mbow, 6'4", 310 pounds. This is the fifth top 30 visit in a row that the Giants drafted. All the prior draft picks were top 30 visits, including Marcus Mbow out of Purdue. Now, Marcus Mbow is an interesting one. So he's a 3-star recruit in 2021. He redshirted his first year, came out in 2022 and started at right guard for the Boilermakers. And after that, he started at right tackle in 2023, but only played 6 games before having a season-ending injury, and that ended his season. Came back in 2024, started at right tackle again, and looked pretty damn good. He's such a natural mover. He's got quick feet. He's got quick hands. He's got a very loose hips. Like, the guy could be a dancer if you wanted him to. He could have another career as a dancer if this NFL thing don't work out. But he's a huge human being, 6'4", 310 pounds, and he moves very well. He perfectly fits what the Giants want to do in their blocking scheme. The Giants run a lot of different combinations of zone blocking schemes. We mix in a little bit of gap stuff as well, but we really want to be a zone running team, and he can keep up with however the Giants want to run it. He can keep up with it. He's strong enough. Definitely has some power issues and power resilience issues. I don't think he sets the greatest anchors as well. I think he can get a little stronger in his lower half. He's got very violent, active hands, very quick as well, that pop off contact. But the only problem I have is both his feet and his arms can look a little erratic at times. It almost seems like he drank like 5 Red Bulls, and he's just like, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's just moving everywhere. It's a little unnerving to see, not gonna lie. Watching his footwork, where it just seemed like his mind is moving a lot faster than his feet can. Now, he has great feet, but they're just a little too erratic, and it can cause him to be a little off balance. He reaches a little too hard sometimes. He's got shorter arms. It's not terrible as everybody keeps saying. People are acting like he has like 31-inch arms. He has 33-inch arms. It's not like NFL like desired, like they want like 34 and above, but it's 33-inch arms. Yeah, it's shorter, but it's not that bad. A lot of people are saying to move him to guard or move him to center. I don't know about that. Again, I think his frame is very slender, very sleek, and he doesn't handle power very well. He doesn't set a good anchor at that either. Why do we think he could be a guard? Why? Because he has 1 inch shorter arms? I'm not too sure about that. I think he's better as a tackle. I want to make sure he develops as a swing tackle should we need him, because Jermaine Illuminor has went down with injury with us already. And we already know Andrew Thomas goes down with injuries quite often. I want him to be groomed up as a potential future starting tackle, not a guard. I don't really think there's any... I didn't watch his 2022 film at guard, but it just seems like he's a lot better at tackle. I don't have much of any problems with him at tackle at all. Again, he's not very power resilient, doesn't set a good anchor, and I don't think he's going to be one to really bulldoze anybody in the run game from at guard. I think he's going to be a very athletic, a guy that's going to be able to keep up with speed rushers off the edge at tackle. There's some things he has to clean up. He's definitely a developmental prospect. Try to be a little bit more precise with your hand usage. Try to slow down the feet a little bit. Try to, stay on balance. He's always on the floor a lot. That's something I noticed. He's always on the freaking floor. But I'm going to give this an A. A lot of Giants fans wanted him in the 4th round over Cam Skattebo. In fact, a lot of people were hating on Cam Skattebo because of how much they wanted Marcus Mbow. But apparently there's some injury concerns there. There's also prior injuries that I already mentioned. So that's why he fell a bit. But he's like a 3rd round prospect that the Giants were able to scoop up in the 5th. That's excellent value. Gotta give it an A. Next up is an interesting story, interesting prospect. Can't wait to get into it. Thomas Fidone II out of Nebraska. I did it again on live camera. I always get their schools confused. I don't know why. And it's also 1:51 in the morning, so I'm a little bit out of it. Forgive me. Thomas Fidone. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was not familiar with him at all. At all. A lot of these draft experts, they knew who Thomas Fidone was, and they loved him. Matt Waldman likes him. Trevor Sikkema had him ranked 184th. I mean, there's a lot of guys that liked Thomas Fidone II. So I did some digging as well. He's 6'6", 255 pounds. And man, when you just look at this guy's frame, the tattoos, he's a tattoo artist. If you guys didn't know, he's 6'6", 255. You watch his frame, you watch the way he plays, and it just screams Colston Loveland, the top tight end prospect from the same draft here that got drafted 10th overall. I'm not saying he's going to be Colston Loveland. I'm just saying I see a lot of flashes in him, especially you look at the frame as well. And we'll get into the skill set in a second, but interesting prospect, interesting story. This guy was a 4-star recruit coming out of Iowa, okay? 4-star recruit is a big deal. And a lot of people said that in the comments too in his film study that I did. People were like, yo, this guy was a dog. This guy was someone to look at coming out of high school. And, I don't pay attention to much of high school prospects as it is. But, unfortunately, he had a lot of, he had 2 season-ending knee injuries, which were extremely unfortunate, but he was a guy that was looked at as being a decent prospect, a decent NFL prospect in the future if it weren't for those injuries. Now, he redshirted his first season, I believe in 2021, he redshirted, but during his redshirt, he tore his ACL in spring practices, and then he comes out in 2022 and then tears his knee again. So it's really unfortunate, but it doesn't seem like there has been any problems for in 2023 or last year in 2024, and he had some decent production there in Nebraska. I honestly felt like he was underutilized there in Nebraska. They could have used him as a primary weapon over there, man, because he has quick feet. He's able to get open. On top of that, guys, I know a lot of people are going to keep saying about him, underrated blocker. You're only saying underrated because you're looking at his frame. If you turn on his film, there's nothing underrated about his blocking. He is a phenomenal blocker. 6'6", 255. He definitely shows his strength out there. He has great technique with it as well. Wide base, tough hand. They do not let go. Stays in the inside. He stays square with the defenders. He does everything right as a blocker, where you could put him out there on an NFL field and not have to worry about him. He's not going to be a gimmicky player where he's a role player. He's just there as a receiving threat. I know a lot of those guys don't really get playing time as a tight end in the NFL. He is also a receiving threat. Don't get me wrong. He's got quick feet and a good release package for a tight end. He's lined up in the slot a lot of the time there in Nebraska, but he can do work as a tight end, as a inline tight end run blocking. He can do that. I had no problem with his game at all. So yeah. Shout out to his dad and his cousin that commented on my video. Shout out to the Fidone family, baby. I hope I'm pronouncing Fidone right, by the way. If I'm not, be sure to correct me in the comments. Also, Also, Tommy Tats, you want to come on the show, man. If you want to come on the show, hit me up. Have your dad hit me up. Whatever, email me. Link is in the description. Hey, want to come on the show? I'm just throwing it out there. Going into this pick, when I saw it, I'm like, why do the Giants need to get another tight end? But looking at it, it seemed like they really were trying to strike gold in the 7th round, right? They're not just trying to get some role player. They were just taking a chance in the 7th round. Listen, a lot of these 7th round picks don't work out. He was not supposed to be there in the 7th round as it is. They just went low cost, high reward. This guy can wind up being a tight end 2 for you. Yes, I really do think that he can wind up being a tight end 2 for you. So they just wanted to see what they can get out of a 7th round pick instead of just getting some random special teamer. I'm giving this one a solid B. Really excited for Thomas Fidone. Let's go ball out, baby. All right, for the last pick, I know we've come a long journey, guys. I hope you guys stuck with me the entire way. A long journey here. 246th overall. This was the 6th top 30 visit the Giants brought in. 6 out of 7 of the draft picks were top 30 visits. That is excellent scouting, excellent work by the coach, the scouting department, and the GM Joe Schoen. But Korie Black, cornerback out of Oklahoma State, 6 foot, 190 pounds, a press corner. That is the first thing I noticed when I watched him and when I was looking at the scheme that he was in, a press corner. And Joe Schoen, when talking about Korie Black, I heard him talk about him about 2 or 3 separate times. The first thing that he says when he's mentioning Korie Black is that he is a press man corner. What does that tell me? I think the Giants are moving their scheme for the better. I hate zone. First of all, I'm not a zone guy. I've never been a zone guy. I've always said the perfect defense you want to run is press man cover 1 defense. That is the perfect defense any defensive coordinator would want to run, because you can do so much with your front 7 if you don't have to worry about double covering anybody. So I'm not a fan of zone coverage as it is. I would be delighted if the Giants move to a press man system. And with this draft pick, it really does seem like that is the direction in which they're going, especially with adding in Paulson Adebo as well with Deonte Banks, who are both press man corners. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of 2020. He comes from a very, very good background, good football family. His brother is, I believe, a defensive back at Texas right now. So and I believe he's a 5-star recruit or something like that. I mean, he looks like he's going to be balling out. His dad played sports. He played multiple sports as well. He was a wide receiver and defensive back coming out of high school. So shout out to Korie Black. Extremely good pedigree in that family for sports. Now, he's one of the rare ones that did play as a true freshman. However, he just played primarily special teams, didn't really see the field too often. He was a backup in 2021, but from 2022 onward, he was the starter there at Oklahoma State. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's a 7th round pick. I think he's a little better than a 7th rounder, but a lot of these guys just drop to the 7th round for random reasons. I'm not sure why. I think he can play. I do. I have a lot of problems with his game. I think he lacks the reaction time to be a zone corner. That's why he's definitely a man corner at the NFL level, but he lacks reaction time even in man coverage, even at the off the snap, trying to get a jam in. His jams are always slow where he's missing, and he doesn't even have time to jam sometimes, where guys are just, I watched that Arkansas game and Andrew Armstrong was just working him, but I do like him though. He mirrors receivers well off the snap. Those slant routes, in breaking routes. I think he needs to be able to react a little better. He has really good long speed. He ran a 4.35 40. That is extremely fast for a cornerback. You would like to see that a little bit more, on tape, but he doesn't necessarily strike me as explosive, but you can see that he moves well. He's fast. I would like him to work on that reaction time a little bit and try to anticipate routes, diagnose a play, diagnose what the wide receiver is going to do, and he would be a lot better at the NFL level. He had 18 passes defense in 3 seasons. That's pretty good, along with 4 interceptions in his last 2 seasons. So that shows that he has a knack for the football. He's aggressive at the catch point. He's also sporadic as a tackler. from the film I've seen, he wasn't that great of a tackler, but a lot of people are saying that he's very good in the run game, and I'm just gonna take their word for it. I wasn't able to gather a lot of film on him, but yeah, I guess it's inconsistent because I didn't see too much in the tackling game. But I'm gonna give this pick a B-. I like it that he's a scheme fit. He's a potential depth player, and I like that he's not just a guy you're gonna put on special teams or put as a gunner and just, you know, whatever. He's a special teamer. I definitely think he's gonna be a gunner for us, but I think that he could play for us if needed. All right, so that is the full analysis and breakdown of the New York Giants 2025 draft class. I thought Joe Schoen knocked it out of the park. You can say what you want about the 7th round picks. If you don't know these prospects, you didn't research them, you're not going to have a feeling about them because you don't know about them. But I think these are good prospects in the 7th round that they got great value on, because these guys were like early day 3 guys that fell all the way to the 7th. So scoop them up. I thought it was great value there. And on top of that, the 5 picks prior were just, I mean, bang, 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 bang. Loved it. Absolute cinema. So I'm going to give this entire draft class a draft grade of A. I thought they knocked it out of the park. This was the best draft class on paper that I've witnessed as a Giants fan. I'm serious, that I've witnessed as a Giants fan. Best draft class. I mean, all these guys, most of these guys, at least the first 5 guys were all mentioned in mock drafts. When we were all doing our mock drafts, these are the guys that we wanted, and these are the guys that we got. So extremely excited about that. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you guys enjoyed this long video. It's an hour of raw footage time. Let's see how much I can bring it down. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna get some sleep now because it's 2 a.m. currently. But leave a like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we got more content in the near future. See you guys later. Woo!